Okay. 4.12. कांक्षन्त कर्मणां सिद्धिं यजन्ता हि देवताः क्षिप्रं हि मानुषे लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा.
Raj, I think you are not sharing.
Okay. Translation. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. There is a great misconception about the gods or demigods of this material world, and men of less intelligence, although passing as great scholars, take these demigods to be various forms of the Supreme Lord. Actually, the demigods are not different forms of God, but they are God's different parts and parcels. God is one and the parts and parcels are many. The Vedas say Nityo Nityanam. God is one. Ishvara Parama Krishna. The Supreme God is one, Krishna, and the demigods are delegated with powers to manage this material world. These demigods are all living entities, Nityanam, with different grades of material power. They cannot be equal to the Supreme God Narayana, Vishnu, or Krishna. Anyone who thinks that God and the demigods are on the same level is called an atheist or Pashandi. Even the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva cannot be compared to the Supreme Lord. In fact, the Lord is worshipped by demigods such as Brahma and Shiva. Shiva Virinchi Nutam. Yet, curiously enough, there are many human leaders who are worshipped by foolish men under the misunderstanding of anthropomorphism and zoomorphism. Ihadevataha denotes a powerful man or demigod of this material world. But Narayana, Vishnu, or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, does not belong to this world. He is above or transcendental to material creation. Even Sripad Sankaracharya, the leader of the impersonalists, maintains that Narayana or Krishna is beyond this material creation. However, foolish people, Hritajana Gnana, worship the demigods because they want immediate results. They get the results but do not know that results obtained are temporary and are meant for less intelligent persons. The intelligent person is in Krishna consciousness and he has no need to worship the all three demigods for some immediate temporary benefit. The demigods of this material world as well as their worshippers will vanish with the annihilation of this material world. The boons of the demigods are material and temporary. Both the material worlds and their inhabitants, including the demigods and their worshippers, are bubbles in the cosmic ocean. In this world, however, human society is mad after temporary things such as material opulence of possessing land, family, and enjoyable paraphernalia. To achieve such temporary things, people worship the demigods or powerful men in human society. If a man gets a ministership in the government by worshipping a political leader, he considers that he has achieved a great boon. All of them are therefore kowtowing to the so-called leaders or big guns in order to achieve temporary boons. And they indeed achieve such things. Such foolish men are not interested in Krishna consciousness or the permanent solution to the hardships of material existence. They are all after sense enjoyment. And to get a little facility for sense enjoyment, they are attracted to worshipping empowered living entities known as demigods. This verse indicates that people are rarely interested in Krishna consciousness. They are mostly interested in material enjoyment and therefore they worship some powerful living entity. Okay. One second. So I have a few words for which we should know meaning. Kowtowing. Kowtowing means act in an excessively subservient manner. Like kissing their foot, they say, like that. Then there was anthropomorphism. Considering that animals are zoomorphism is one second. Anthropomorphism is not very clear. Zoomorphism is having or representing animal forms or gods of animal form. Second. The conception or representation of deities in the form of animals. That is zoomorphism. Imagines humans as non-human animals. That imagines humans as non-human animals. Actually, I had understood it slightly differently. And through anthropomorphism is attribution of human traits, emotions, or intentions to non-human entities. Like, for example, a wind, like that, like wind having okay, they are giving some like Winnie the Pooh, the little engine that could, like basically non-human beings, non-human things. Anybody has read about this anthropomorphism and zoomorphism before?
I think it's a humanization of a non-human species, Prabhu. So, for example, this example is given, right, where some animations or some cartoons are made, where, like, for example, the rat, it behaves like a human child, right? So, it's about relating human behavior in non-human species.
Yeah, but for us in this context, what does it mean? Here, misunderstanding of anthropomorphism or zoomorphism. Or, there are many human leaders who are worshipped by foolish men under the misunderstanding of anthropomorphism or zoomorphism. Many human leaders who are worshipped by.
Yeah, so it's like these human leaders, these are resembled as animals. And for example, human being are here Prabhupada is resembling as God, Supreme Lord Krishna. So
Okay.
it's like treating these men who are leaders as God is similar to like treating the animals as human beings.
Human beings. Okay.
Maybe that's my understanding. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
possibly.
I think once His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj also gave an example that suppose Prime Minister, he comes with his paraphernalia like his ministers and all, and one person is holding the garland, and that okay, he just goes near Narendra Modi, and instead of putting the garland on Narendra Modi, he just puts the garland on Narendra Modi's PA and says that Honorable Prime Minister. So it will be an indirect insult to the Narendra Modi because he is not Narendra Modi. So it's like we are trying to treat these people who are leaders as God, but actually this is a huge aparada for Supreme Lord because it's a misidentity. It's a misrepresentation of identity. So maybe Prabhupada wants to explain this by this example here.
This is another way of another definition for this, which is treating animals, gods, and objects as if they are human. Like, is it thinking of Krishna as human, like that?
Might be, yeah.
What is the context here? Human leaders were worship. No, I think this is more close to what you are saying. Okay. Okay, I think the rest of it is pretty clear. Okay. 4.13. चातुर्वर्ण्यं मया सृष्टं गुणकर्म विभागशः तस्य कर्तारमपि मां विद्यः कर्तारमव्ययम्. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of the system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. Though I am the creator, I am the non-doer. The Lord is the creator of everything. Everything is born of Him. Everything is sustained by Him. And everything after annihilation rests in Him. He is therefore the creator of the four divisions of the social order, beginning with the intelligent class, technically called Brahmanas, due to their being situated in the mode of goodness. Next is the administrative class, technically called the Kshatriyas, due to their being situated in the mode of passion. Mercantile men called Vaishyas, situated in the mixed modes of passion and ignorance, and Shudras or laborer class, situated in the ignorant mode of material nature. In spite of his creating the four divisions of human society, Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these divisions because he is not one of the conditioned souls, a section of whom form human society. Human society is similar to any other animal society. But to elevate men from the animal status, the above mentioned divisions are created by the Lord for systematic development of Krishna consciousness. This is important. Human society is similar to any other human society if there is no varnashrama. Varnashrama is there to elevate this human society, men from animal status, to make them Krishna conscious. So people don't want varnashrama. That means that systematically people becoming Krishna conscious is very difficult. Then it is just through some little preaching that we are doing, we will make certain devotees. That's all, which will be very small percentage. Cannot impact in huge numbers. The tendency of a particular man toward work is determined by the modes of material nature which he has acquired. This we understand. Tendency to work. Such symptoms of life according to the different modes of material nature are described in the 18th chapter. Yeah, 17th and 18th chapter, a lot of discussions on modes. The person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even the Brahmanas. Although Brahmanas by quality are supposed to know about Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, most of them approach only the impersonal Brahman manifestation of Lord Krishna. But a man who transcends the limited knowledge of a Brahmana and reaches the knowledge of Supreme Personality of Goddess, Lord Sri Krishna, becomes a person in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, a Vaishnava. Krishna consciousness includes knowledge of all different plenary expansions of Krishna, namely Rama, Narasimha, Varaha, etc. And as Krishna is transcendental to the system of the four divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society, whether we consider the divisions of community, nation, or species. So it's important. This statement is where we have to get in terms of sadhana bhakti. A person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions, which means that we should behave in a way that we are transcendental to all divisions, which means that we should transcend the three modes. Of course, then question is, why should then devotees establish varnashrama societies? That is as as a channel for preaching, so that tomorrow more people can adopt this, and thereby they can move from lower modes to higher modes. But when we are engaged in a particular varna and ashrama, we follow we still follow the responsibilities of the varna and ashrama, so that people can see and learn. Mahajanayanagatasya panta. But we are not engaging in that. Of course, I mean, it might be our natural propensity, but we should also try to transcend that. Somebody is a Vaishya, he should not keep thinking about himself as Vaishya throughout. As in, if he has Vaishya propensities, he might engage naturally in those because he has those qualities. But with sadhana bhakti, he should also try to transcend that. Okay, any questions?
Bro, I had a question from last verse. It is mentioned that all the demigods, they will also be annihilated with the annihilation of the material world. So the good. 1 minute, bro. So my question is that this Guna avatar, right, which is so we say that Lord Vishnu is the he is the deity for good, for material mode of goodness, right? So how to understand that? Because Lord Vishnu is eternal, so is the Gunavatar will also be going back to God, like going back to be in the spiritual world? And because Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they will be annihilated for sure, because they, I think, are belonging to one material world. But what about Lord Vishnu, who is the presiding deity for mode of goodness in particular?
Now, the Vishnu that we talk about as Vishnu is Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. Kshirodakashaya Vishnu technically is within this material world, while he remains without, I mean, even when the annihilation happens, he remains. But when the whole material world is unmanifested, which means pralaya, then everybody, and he also enters into Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. And when it is time for the whole universe to rest, then even Garbhodakashaya Vishnu enters back into Karnodakashaya Vishnu.
Karnodakashaya, yeah.
But
Okay.
they are more of manifest, unmanifest. Right? Like when there is a requirement for that function, they will manifest, otherwise they will unmanifest. It's like that. But it's different for jivas. Of course, Shiva Tattva is different. Shiva cannot be treated like Brahma. Because Shiva is also, I mean, he is also Vishnu Tattva, Sadashiva. But when he is in touch with the material world, he becomes Shambhu. And that Shambhu has, his role ends with when the material world is destroyed. But Sadashiva himself is transcendental. He is in the spiritual world.
So then we can understand that even these deities which are presiding for the Guna avatars, they have specific purpose. So they do that, and then they again go and.
Except Brahma. Brahma is a jiva, so he will.
Brahma is a jiva, yeah.
Brahma will go back to Godhead after his 100 years. But Shiva and Vishnu cannot be seen like that.
Okay.
For Shiva also, like I said, I mean, from my understanding, Shambhu is similar. He will also, he will possibly unmanifest or He is not a Jiva, but he will go back to, or the Tamsha of Shambhu will go back to Sadashiva, I think, for which we have to little bit read Brihad Bhagavatamrita to understand their positions more clearly. But this is from whatever limited understanding I have.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. A lot of technicalities. I mean,
Yes, Prajya, one more, like Lord
Yeah.
Brahma is a Jiva Tattva,
Yeah.
and Lord Shiva is in between Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva.
Yeah.
But how do we understand that Lord Shiva has come from Lord Brahma?
Lord Shiva has come from Lord Brahma. It's like Vishnu manifests from Vasudeva and Devaki. So, for the purpose of creation and material maintenance, Brahma is the first created living entity. So everybody else has to come from him. So Shiva manifests, but he manifests more as Rudra, as the principle for devastation. So for devastation, first something has to be created. So Brahma is that creator, and from Brahma the destroyer comes. Yeah, so it is just a way he makes appearance, right? Otherwise, he will have to come directly from Vishnu. Then he will also become Swayambhu. And I mean, yeah, creation, there are certain principles, right? So the first principle is the creating principle, then the destruction principle. So destruction principle is coming from the creator. So I mean, their positions are not, it's not like Brahma becomes superior, because like Krishna appears from Vasudeva and Devaki, it doesn't mean that Vasudeva and Devaki became superior. It's just means, that's all.
Okay. Yeah.
4.14. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spruha iti mamyo abhijanati karma virna sabhadyate. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. So simple. We should know that no work affects Krishna. Nor does he aspire for the fruit of any action. This is so everything the Lord does, even with devotees, is based on yayatha mam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyam. So he does not aspire for fruits himself, in the sense, if a devotee wants, then he will bestow. It's like that. But he himself does not aspire for fruits of action. So many people are saying that why there are so many suffering jivas, why doesn't Lord show mercy to them? He will show mercy because he himself doesn't aspire any fruits. He himself will not aspire, like, let this person become like this, let that person become like that. Free will is there, but when that person wants, then he will grant. So it's always in response to devotee. So that is why the Lord is also considered as non-partial. While he has that love for his devotees, but he will reciprocate based on their surrender, based on their relationship. And of course, there's no work that affects him, affects in the sense does not bind him for sure. And anything he does in the spiritual world specifically, he doesn't get so these rules are in one sense he is affected. He's affected because, like, if he cries because Mother Yashoda is holding a stick in her hand, he's affected, but he's not affected. He's affected because it is in response to a devotee and a devotee's actions. Right? Like Yashoda, Mother Yashoda wanted to bind Krishna. She decided that I'm going to bind Krishna. Now, because devotee has decided, he has to oblige. So that way it binds, it affects, but it doesn't affect Achintya. So in general, it doesn't affect to general maintenance of this material world. There's no work that affects him. But as there are constitutional laws in material world stating that the king can do no wrong or that the king is not subject to the state laws, similarly, the Lord, although is the creator of this material world, is not affected by the activities of the material world. So specifically with respect to material world, it's clear. He creates and remains aloof from the creation, whereas the living entities are entangled in fruitive results of material activities because of their propensity for lording it over material resources. So he's not affected in the sense he just creates and remains aloof. So he's not affected by the activities that are happening here. The proprietor of an establishment is not responsible for the right and wrong activities of the workers, but the workers are themselves responsible. The living entities are engaged in their respective activities of sense gratification. These activities are not ordained by the Lord for advancement of sense gratification. The living entities are engaged in the work of this world and they aspire to heavenly happiness after death. The Lord, being full in himself, has no attraction for so-called heavenly happiness. The heavenly demigods are only his engaged servants. The proprietor never desires the low-grade happiness such as the workers may desire. He is aloof from the material actions and reactions. For example, the rains are not responsible for different types of vegetation that appear on the earth, although without such rains, there is no possibility of vegetative growth. That means that rains are required, but when the rain falls, what kind of vegetation will come up? That is not, the rains are not responsible for that. The Lord is basically saying that I create, I remain aloof, and people do their activities, then they become affected by that. But I am not affected by any of this because I am Udasinavat, he says, as if disconnected, disinterested. Okay, Vedic Smriti confirms this fact as follows. Nimittamatram evasau srijjanam sargakarmani pradhana karani bhuta yato vai srijya shaktayah. In the material creations, the Lord is only the supreme cause. The immediate cause is material nature by which the cosmic manifestation is made visible. The created beings are of many varieties, such as the demigods, human beings, and lower animals. And all of them are subject to the reactions of their past good or bad activities. The Lord only gives them the proper facilities for such activities and the regulations of the modes of nature. But he is never responsible for their past and present activities. So Krishna says subsequently in Bhagavad Gita, Na datte kastuchit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhu. I am not responsible for their papa or their good acts. In the Vedanta Sutra, it is confirmed. Vaishamya naigrinnye na sapekshatvat. The Lord is never partial to any living entity. The living entity is responsible for his own acts. The Lord only gives him facilities through the agents of material nature, external energy. Anyone who is fully conversant with all the intricacies of this law of karma or fruitive activities does not become affected by the results of his activities. So if we know how karma works, then also we don't become affected because we understand. Then we don't get attached to our work, to our results, that we don't think we are the doers, etc., etc. In other words, the person who understands the transcendent nature of the Lord is an experienced man in Krishna consciousness. And thus he is never subjected to the laws of karma. So if we understand this also about Krishna's position, then also we are not subjected to the laws of karma. Of course, these are not like it can't be like independent thought process. Like we know about Krishna, but we don't know about our own position. It's not like that. It's all connected. So somebody is an experienced man in Krishna consciousness means he himself, he knows Krishna's position. At the same time, he also knows his own position. He understands his own position. One who does not know the transcendental nature of the Lord and who thinks that the activities of the Lord are aimed at fruitive results, as are the activities of the ordinary living entity, certainly becomes entangled himself in fruitive reactions. So this is what it is. If we know that the Lord's activities are not aimed at fruitive results, then we understand our activity should also not be aimed at fruitive results. But one who knows the supreme truth is a liberated soul fixed in Krishna consciousness. Who is this person? He is a liberated soul who will understand this. So we might also have understood it to some extent. But if we continue to engage in material activities with the desire for sense gratification, then it is just knowledge without, that is just gnana without vijnana. That is not real knowledge. Real knowledge is applied knowledge. So when it is applied, then we actually are established in that knowledge, which means that when we are actually working not for fruitive activities, but as a matter of duty, not expecting or wanting results or attached to the results, etc., then we also understand the position of the Supreme Lord. Once we understand the position of the Supreme Lord, we might also understand our position, but we might not actually put it in practice, in which case the laws of karma will still act. So it's not just knowledge, it's knowledge plus application. So here Prabhupada is saying one who knows the supreme truth is a liberated soul fixed in Krishna consciousness. That means that we don't know the supreme truth. We know only some theoretical knowledge, about some aspects of the supreme truth, but we don't really know the supreme truth. Knowing the supreme truth is only a liberated soul who is fixed. Samadhi, he will know the supreme truth. He will know who Krishna is because he will directly be in touch with Krishna. So only such a person can actually understand Krishna's position, this position also. Otherwise, we might just think that Krishna is also aspiring for some fruits, like we might see or hear the leelas of Krishna, and it might look like he's doing to get something, like like we might think that why is Krishna engaging like this with all the different gopis? Maybe he has some expectations, or if we don't clearly understand Krishna's position, we might think he's also lusty. So it's difficult to understand Krishna's position. Only somebody who's fixed in Krishna consciousness can actually understand. And that is also realized knowledge, that Krishna no work affects Krishna. So see, in all of this, there are two things. There is theoretical knowledge and there is realized knowledge. Theoretical knowledge we will have, but we will not achieve perfection of that knowledge till we actually apply it. And that application actually happens only when, especially with respect to the Supreme Lord, happens only when we reach perfection, as in when we reach samadhi. When we cannot for a moment not think about Krishna, then we will realize, because Krishna will reveal himself at that point of time to us. But otherwise, most knowledge about Supreme Lord right now that we have is all just theoretical. So even about ourselves, if we don't try to convert the knowledge we have to applied knowledge, which is Vijnana, then that knowledge is really not realized knowledge. It is just theoretical knowledge. And that is like somebody in 11th, he reads something in 12th, but he really doesn't understand. But he's just read. He understands, like, okay, somewhat he understands. Right? So it will be for a high, like, theoretical knowledge is lower level of like it doesn't really give us proper understanding. When we can apply, only then we have actually understood it fully. So like that, everything has gnana and vijnana. That is why Krishna says gnana vijnanam sahitam. Okay, any questions? Okay. Then we stop here.